And we're live.
All right, I'm recording.
Hello and welcome to the Verhoeven Effect podcast. I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
And for this very first season of the show, we are watching network television because me and Nathan don't watch network television generally, at least not live. And we are watching police procedurals. We have 2015's NCIS New Orleans. We have 2008's The Mentalist, and we have 1984's Miami Vice. So as always, we start with the first show, NCIS New Orleans, season 1, episode 15, Le Carnaval de la Mort. I'm guessing, or maybe you say
death.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Yeah, it's Le Carnaval de la Morte or something like that.
Oh, okay. I just
you wouldn't say Morte because that means death of Mort.
Okay.
Death. So yeah.
Well, also like with French, I hear like he basically just don't even bother to pronounce the last like couple of like word, the last couple of letters. So it'll probably just be de la mort.
Yeah.
February 17th, 2015, CBS Tuesday. After a petty officer is found murdered in the midst of Mardi Gras events, the NCIS team investigates what parades and parties led to his ultimate death. Also, Pride must decide what aspects of his strained relationship with his father he is willing to share with his daughter. Showrunner Gary Glasberg, written by Jonathan I. Kidd and Sonia Winton, directed by Tony Warmby.
Yeah, this episode we finally open with Pride talking to his dad, played by.
Well, it doesn't open with that. It opens with the guy getting stabbed.
Oh yeah,
in Mardi Gras.
Stabbed, but yeah.
Because it's finally Mardi Gras in New Orleans.
Yes, it's finally happened.
It's not just a party for no reason in Mardi Gras or in New Orleans. It's the purpose of New Orleans. Well, to tourists and
it's why New Orleans exists.
So yeah, some guy he's walking around the stab wound. He gets on his phone, and then some guy in a gesture mask stabs him again until he's dead, and then you boom, boom, boom. Hey, you know. But yeah, after the opening credits, it's Pride, and it's what's his first name? Is it Dwayne? The Dwayne Pride, and then his father Cassius Pride.
Yes,
his
father goes by Cassius.
Played by Stacy Keach, who I probably imagine they're probably near the same age, so I don't really buy him as his dad, but whatever.
Yeah.
I actually don't know their ages, but yeah. Because I remember we're speculating about his father. It's like, well, he's got to be dead. He's got to be like almost 100 years for Scott Bakula to have a father play.
Now let's see. Stacy Keach is 80 years old.
Okay, maybe, yeah. So how old is
Scott Bakula?
Yeah.
He's got to be 60.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. He's like an actor. He doesn't really look his age, but
yeah. Well, he's also a guy who keeps in shape. So.
Let's see. Scott Bakula. He's 67. Wow. Okay. So yeah, there's about 12 years between him and his dad.
So yeah. So you had him at 12.
Yeah. Which maybe in New Orleans is normal. I don't know.
I don't know. That's kind of like that.
I haven't seen Stacy Keach in a long, long time.
Yeah. Probably the last thing I saw him in was Titus, which that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
He's probably been in
Mike Hammer in a mid '80s detective show.
Oh.
It's like a hard-boiled detective show.
Yeah, I think the other thing like that would probably be like Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, who's worked Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, like only like 8 years difference in age or something.
Yep.
Oh well. So yeah, it's Cassius basically is trying to get on Pride's good side, so he'll write him a letter because he's up for parole again. So
yeah,
so I guess this is the annual begging of for parole from Pride.
That Pride will not write the letter for.
No,
because he said his dad's only safe in prison. So then Cassius has been. Well, I don't know. Yeah, we're going to jump way ahead if we talk about that. But
Yeah,
Back
that's
to the
the
main storyline. Even
well,
though
yeah.
they do sect, as they always do.
We have LaSalle and probably Brody talking about stuff, and I think LaSalle's talking about a crew crawl, but like I had the subtitles on, it's crew written with a K, and it's something to do with New Orleans, so like everybody has a crew to go through New Orleans with, and they all have, because then like Sebastian and like the other people have like some weird Chewbacca client crew that they go through New Orleans with. And I was like, had no idea what that was about.
Yeah, it's the two nerds fighting, doing extreme nerd stuff.
But we have the victim is Toussaint Patrice, which is an interesting name.
Yeah, it is.
I kept writing him in the notes as Patrice because I thought Toussaint was too weird. But in the show, they just keep referring to him as Toussaint. So
yeah.
But they end up at they're trying to find they're trying to like pick out the gesture mask as maybe being unique because they got some closed circuit security cameras that they check out, but then they just like open up a door and it's just a club full of gesture masks and people partying and doing drugs and drinking, and they basically presumably have been partying since yesterday and it just hasn't stopped because it's daytime and they open the doors and it's a nightclub essentially.
Yeah, it's essentially the party never ends.
Yeah. But then they have
probably true. I don't know.
Yeah. But then they kind of shut everything down so they can interview everybody. But yeah, I think they find out like he didn't have his keys on him, and he has like an old Impala that's his car, and so that was like, oh, we gotta look for that car. Yeah, and Pride's daughter's back is Laurel. Yeah, Laurel. And then she obviously lies to him about something, so I immediately pick on him. I was like, okay, this is going to be about her grandfather. It's going to be about Cassius.
Yeah, she's going to see her friend who he knows is in Europe, and school's like, oh, she came back after 2 weeks? Okay.
And then they have a suspect, and it's like obviously misdirect because this guy has a past of stabbing people very specifically.
Yeah, he's a stab guy, which for some reason he's out on the street even though he loves to stab.
Yeah, he's a part of the he's all the insane clown posse. They love to stab people.
Yeah,
they literally have a song called "I Stab People." So.
Oh, okay. Sounds about right.
Even though you run with the hatchet, but they have a song called "I Stab People." So. But yeah, that's where he was. They get the clue that the Toussaint didn't have a gesture mask; he had a gas mask, and so they go back and patent like a symbols, like everybody's like social media stuff, and basically into a virtual forensic grab bag. And he's able to pick up the gas mask, which is it's total garbage what they do. They just like throw out buzzwords. They're like, oh yeah, this is scientific, and what they say is like silicone mask, and then Brody says a mesh lining, and it's like this is serious, like it's a gas mask.
Yeah.
Those details added nothing.
It's not like a gas mask you use to like sand furniture is what they wanted to say, but they could have just showed a picture of it, and it's like, well, yeah, that's a serious gas mask,
Well, and also they say it's military, so that's usually the buzzword you can use, like, oh, that's a military grade gas mask, which really doesn't mean that much. It's like, oh, it's black.
You have to take it apart to change the filters, unlike the civilian gas mask, we just screw them on and off. Oh, yeah. Well, that used to be a problem. I don't know if that still is.
No, you screw them on, at least the ones I used.
Okay. I know in Desert Storm when they were worried about the chemical weapons, they said, oh, yeah, the problem with the American gas masks is you have to take them out and change the pads, whereas everyone else is just thread in and thread out. And they were like, that's a big weakness. And then it turned out like ours were 10 times more effective that way, but we went into the screw-in ones because everyone's like, okay, yeah, you saw it on TV, so... I mean, I don't know. Everyone just assumes like the air was just going to be filled with constant nerve gas, just nonstop. It's like a fog of nerve gas. But yeah. So anyway,
So they find the Impala, and it's just full of a mysterious gas, which they think at first like it's might be some sort of bomb, and I think they cut the commercial and come back and like, well, it's not a bomb, it's just some medical gas, it's anesthesia gas.
Yeah. It's Russian theater knockout gas or something. Yeah, stuff like that. Which people, I guess, could get high off of.
Yeah.
Then they go find the warehouse where it was stolen. It was right next to huge boxes that said Oxycontin on them. Like, why would they steal the laughing gas when they could just steal a truckload of Oxys and make millions of dollars? So it's like, well, this seems weird.
We also find out that Toussaint is a former addict, but
yeah, that's right.
But like alcohol, was it drugs and alcohol, or was it just alcohol? I assume it's alcohol. I think it's
sober. So
yeah, because I guess it's generalized.
I assume alcohol when I hear sober, but I never know.
Also, we find out like they're having trouble at home, and this is where I realized like, oh, he's not currently in the Navy. He's former Navy. It's like, would you still put NCIS on the crime? I don't know.
No, yeah.
I thought like NCIS was only for like active duty cases, or if it's somehow related, they'd be involved. But I didn't think they'd like take lead on the like because somebody pulled up. It's like, oh, former Navy, we can wipe our hands of this.
Our 3-man team is not going to be overwhelmed with solving all the crimes and victims of crimes of former Navy personnel.
Yeah, following Mardi Gras. Yeah, but there's no crimes after Mardi Gras.
Nope.
No investigations needed. Yeah, this is also where Pride confronts Laurel with lying to him. So unfortunately, this is probably where I fell asleep.
Oh. This is where the episode failed to hold your interest.
No, I was just watching it in the middle of the night, and it was my fault. I have like a note with Sid. Who was Sid? Was it somebody like they try to accost somebody and he dies of an overdose for some reason?
Yeah, that's the guy they think that stabbed him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then he's freaking out. And he's like, no, it was them. And he falls over, and they found out he was like given a lethal dose of, or injected a lethal dose of methamphetamines into his body, which I thought you smoked meth, but I don't know. I've never used meth, so I don't know. But so yeah, so the guy they pretty much said, oh, this has got to be the guy, stabby guy. Well, he dies of a stroke or something from too much meth, and then. What else happens? They do some. Well, they find out that like the guy was stabbed before he went into the club. Well, we already established that, so it was not. Now it's not clear. It's like, well, what are these guys doing with this stuff? And so they're not selling it to get high because they just have a meth lab there. So.
You see, the next thing I woke up to is like a heist.
Yeah.
Done with the gas during Mardi Gras, or is this a different heist after Mardi Gras?
It's like it's Mardi Gras is like a multi-day festival. I guess.
Okay.
So this is continuing into the day, and because Dwayne Pride confronts Cassius about talking to his daughter and stuff, and he figures out that guy, one of the guys they're looking for that leads that crew that they think is involved with having all the weird gas, is like, you know anything about him? And he's like, yeah, I can't say nothing. He's like, you won't ever talk to my daughter again? And he's like, oh, okay. And he gives him some vague clue about, yeah, these guys are they're having some kind of fundraiser, these rich people at this place for Mardi Gras. And so what these guys do is uncork this gas and knock everyone out and steal all their jewelry. Like that's the hook. And of course, LaSalle gets a little stoned at the scene from the gas because his mask gets ripped off fighting one of the guys.
Yeah.
And he's like running around outside, like, wow, I've never felt like this before. And I'm thinking, dark character arc, addicted to surgery gas, but they won't do that, which would be weird. Or maybe they will. Who knows? So yeah, that was essentially the arc of the episode, was that Cassius helped Dwayne solve the or figure out where the crime was going to be, and so then the three of them are together in prison talking together.
Was it just one of the crew stabbed the Navy guy, or
it was the guy that overdosed, I think.
Oh, okay.
But he's like, they made me do it.
Oh, okay.
And before he stroked out from his lethal dose of meth,
his meth embolism.
Yeah, it seemed kind of weird. I was watching it and I was like, why do these people just keep dying that have contact with this? Because they raid the house and there's obviously a meth lab there.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are these guys doing? It's like, they don't need that stuff. They're making meth. And then, I forget what leads to what, because they also talked to the guy who owns the nightclub, and he's a former, because he had some altercation with the guy, and I think they put him together with some other people. It's like, oh, he must know these people, and that's why that guy was coming here to, because the guy who got killed was some kind of former addict, and he was working at a rehab place to try to stay sober. So that's where he got hooked in with these guys.
Yeah, because the Navy guy is essentially trying to help people.
Yeah.
The whole time. And
what was his name? Patrice.
Oh. Yeah. Toussaint.
Toussaint Patrice. Yeah. Patrice or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was.
But yeah,
it was just confusing to watch. It's like, well, how's this coming together? Like, I kept having to reset it. Of course, my internet's been performing miracles during the day, so because it'll like black out on me halfway through. I'm like, what? And then it comes back on. It's like, okay.
But yeah, so we have the Pride, Laurel, and Cassius all reconcile at the end of the episode. So he decides. It seems like Pride's going to finally write that letter, maybe. We don't know. They just have like a conversation where Pride's not just like blaming his father for his crimes. It's like...
Yeah, because he always has funny stories that like Cassius will tell Laurel about, and he has the same story he repeats to Dwayne about throwing up on his dad at Mardi Gras when he was a little kid. And then Pride's like, there's other stories I could tell her, like the time a cake showed up at the house with a finger in it. You think she'd like that story? It's like, apparently his dad's a really bad, corrupt cop of some kind. So. But yeah.
But yeah, basically, like, Pride takes the story over and tells it, but like it tells it in a way where it's like that Cassius was very thoughtful and looked out for him.
Yeah, it's been indicated that his dad was not like an abusive bad father. He was just a horrible criminal who just did some really bad, because there was like some like racial stuff, because they did that one episode where they talked a lot about things his dad did, but he never saw him.
Yeah.
And they would be like, well, what about your dad? He'd be like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. So it was one of those things. This is the first time we actually see the guy and what he's doing. So.
Yeah, because we were speculating that, he must have died in prison because he's got to be like 100.
Yeah. That we're assuming Scott Bakula is playing a guy in his mid-40s in this now, maybe early 50s. I don't know. His daughter was about Grayson's age, so he could be in his late 40s.
Yeah.
But then again, Scott Bakula never looked his age. So.
Yeah.
He never looked his age on Enterprise either. Because he was actually older on Enterprise than he said he was. He's like, oh, yeah, your dad, the Admiral, and he's already a captain. And he was like, said in one episode he was like 54 or something. Like, nah, he's not that old. But, yeah. Those are the only two things I know him from. And I know Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
But
that's his big thing.
That was his big role.
Yeah, it's pretty much, Quantum Leap and then Enterprise.
Nope.
And now Enterprise has to be like the more like show now that everybody hates Discovery and Picard.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Xindi arc in Enterprise was cool. They took some weird side trails there. Yeah. But that was like, we got to stop these people from destroying Earth. We're going into the no zone or something to do that. And that became increasingly dark and bleak as it went on.
Oh yeah, because I always say that's the that's the season where they thought they had to try to be Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Because what I appreciate about like those first like 2 or 3 seasons is that they were trying to go back to the original series Star Trek, where it's just like plucky adventurers trying to look at, see what's out there in the world and use science and discovery, and it's optimistic. It's not like where we left off on Deep Space Nine, where it's like a giant civil war.
Yeah. Yeah, that was but it was also the best part of it was when they tried to change directions and they came out of that season. It's like, oh, the Xindi crisis is over, and it just went nowhere. And it's like, we're going to do a bunch of nostalgia episodes, but we're not talking about that.
Yeah. That's a different show.
Yeah.
So we have our second show, The Mentalist, season 1, episode 15, Scarlet Fever. Original air date February 17, 2009. CBS Tuesday. A wealthy jewelry designer is poisoned at a party, and the CBI investigation uncovers the double lives of a number of the people around her. Showrunner Bruno Heller, written by Erica Green Swafford, directed by Paul Holohan.
Yeah. This one starts off kind of weird.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're having a real fancy party somewhere, and it's obviously...
Well, it's in Sacramento, so there's that.
And
which is that's where the CBI headquarters is stationed. So like this is right in their backyard.
And also the capital of California.
Yep.
So people sometimes like don't know that. It's like, I thought it was Los Angeles. Like, oh no. You're in Trump country when you're in the capital of California. But so anyway, yeah, they're having this kind of like weird party where everyone's costumed, expensive. It's just whoever writes this show must like hate rich people because they're always like, they always seem like just awful people. Even in a party, they're just like, ugh. And then somebody comes out, looks like she has rabies. And she stumbles around, and then
it's like trying to say something, and then just like stumbles into the railing like she got shot with a shotgun and falls off it and dies. Hits a table on the way down. It's like, I've seen wrestling. She would have survived that.
Yeah. Styrofoam table, saw it halfway through or something. Yeah. So yeah, it kind of starts off like, but it's a weird scene. Like you're expecting someone's going to scream out and they're going to find a body. No, somebody comes running out.
We watch them die.
Yeah. It's like we all saw her die, which is usually it's always a body in this show, but not in this case.
Yeah, because that's what these shows kind of get away with having violence by just seeing the repercussions of it, not them being acted out. So. Yeah. But here it's just like, it's like somebody drank pop rocks and Mountain Dew and tripped over a balcony. So, whatever. It's not that violent.
Yeah, it's just a weird start for this show because this show's kind of the quirky murder show.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're just jumping right into it.
Yeah, and then we cut to another weird scene where Jane is hypnotizing some thug with tattoos. I think it's supposed to be a white supremacist because he has some like something that looks vaguely like a swastika.
Yeah, it's like weird.
It's like an angular, it's like stabby swastika.
Yeah, that's I've seen. You can go to the what's that website thing about the hate website where you can find out. I forget who runs it. Southern Poverty Law Center maybe or something.
Okay.
It has all the white supremacist tattoos, and I just went there once years ago just to see. It's like, oh, this is probably all real obvious and on the nose, and like, no, it isn't. And I know people that have tattoos that look vaguely like that. It's like, oh my God, white supremacists are all around me. But yeah, it looks like one of those like just angular Nordic looking stuff. And his whole tattoos are all weird. The whole motif is weird.
Yeah, he's got a thing that's like a dotted line and with a razor blade on it. It's like cut here. But like that has nothing to do with the episode. It's just like it's Jane hypnotizing somebody, which we establishes we don't like when he does that because that's usually garbage. But they make it a funny scene where it's like Lisbon's like, you can't do that. That's illegal. We can't. It's like his lawyer's coming over, and then like Jane like snaps the guy out of his trance just before his lawyer gets there. But then that has nothing to do with the rest of the episode. It's just kind of a funny scene. So
Yeah, it's just another Jane and Lisbon power play scene.
But yeah, Lisbon gathers everybody. She says we just caught a red ball, and I'm like, and I can't remember if like that's a real thing that predated Minority Report or if that's like a new Minority Report reference. I can't remember. Is that like a real thing?
Not that I know of. The only place I ever heard of it was Minority Report. The movie,
Okay,
so.
okay. Because like I hear that term now all the time, and I don't know if it precedes it or if it preceded it. Yeah, I guess that'd work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much from Minority Report. It makes sense. It's kind of a it's a quirky way to say things.
Yeah.
It was a culturally influential movie.
Yeah.
So I know people were like, could they really do that? It's like, you better hope not. Because remember, none of the people they froze in that movie actually committed the murders. So there is a moral conundrum there, which is the point of the whole movie. What are those big words? Never mind.
But so yeah, they go to investigate the party. They're interviewing people, and then what they're looking at, like lipstick or something, or like Jane notices that like one side of her face has her makeup completed. So he's like, oh, she was in the bathroom or whatever doing her makeup, and goes up there, and there's like an extravagant bathroom that's all marble and everything, and then like he happens to find like a note like underneath the trash that says "Now we're even." So he's like,
Yeah.
aha, motive. And
he looks at the family photos again.
And it was what, wine laced with rat poison.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Or strychnine, but yeah, that's rat poison. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then they come back and they're interviewing the father. I think it's like the next day, and the kid running through the room as a pirate. This is a constant theme that I find weird every time.
Yeah.
Jane, obviously, like, because there's two women he was talking with before the interview, Victor, who's the husband. So he obviously like accuses him of sleeping with somebody or cheating on his wife, because that's what Jane do.
Yeah. Yeah, all the other CBI agents like, we're here to ask questions and solve case problems. We'd like your help. Okay. Oh, by the way, you're screwing your housekeeper. Like, what? Wait. Who's in charge? Put him on a leash. Jane doesn't get punched nearly enough. Because if he calls that wrong, or the guy's just an asshole, it's like there's nothing stopping him from just punching him. But
yeah,
I guess he's not afraid of that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, sometimes he does it because he's just like seeing how people react to the truth, and sometimes he's lying just to see how they react. Sometimes he just needs a base so he can like determine what people look like when they lie and when they tell the truth. So because he's like the human
lie detector.
Yeah.
Because he's a liar.
He's a bad person being used for good.
Yeah.
That's kind of the hook of the show. He's just not like a violently bad person. He's just somebody who would trick people into giving him money. We have the women's committee rivalry. I wrote this like, this seems like, I'm guessing Mean Girls came out near this, and they're just making like grown up Mean Girls. It's like,
it seemed, again, it's the all rich people are obnoxious and like obviously bad.
Yeah.
It seemed like more of that. It's like, oh, we're the women's committee, and everyone, there's another C word that comes to everyone's mind when you say things like that with these kind of women. It's like, yeah, you sure are. Yeah. So.
And then, well, yeah, also like, we're on the committee, but they obviously just all hate each other. It's like, why? Why are you still doing this? And they're holding a tennis tournament, but it's just all between like rich women.
Yeah, it seems like the least amount of fun you can have doing
like, who would sit around and watch this? Let's watch the old rich ladies play tennis, see who wins.
And fight with each other.
Yeah.
Obviously hate each other.
Yeah. Well, you're all rich, so I'm guessing you all win.
Yeah. Who wins? You. Who pays more taxes than you? Me. You win.
So yeah, they go around and interview a bunch of people, and Azura and Victor get the most guilty votes. Azuro's like she's like the business partner for Victor.
Yeah.
There's also keys missing. That's an important point. So, that'll come up. Oh yeah, that's what I was speculating. Is this going to be like Murder on the Orient Express, where they all were involved with the murder somehow? They just didn't know it. But and also I wrote down, lesbians. But that's just that. Yeah, because like a bunch of the other ones were speculating that Victor and her were having an affair, and then one of them laughed it off. It's like, oh, she's not having an affair with him; she's having an affair with me.
Yeah. Wrong kind of affair. Wrong tools.
But Van Pelt makes a ply to take the lead on this case. Or not really the lead on the case. She just kind of is like she gets the first interview on the first suspect, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know what to take from that scene. She didn't really seem to do like a bad job nor an astounding job.
I think they were just setting it up for an awkward Van Pelt moment when she busts into the room for later, because Van Pelt's kind of the conservative. Of course there's a God. It's always what I call the Van Pelt bullshit role.
Yeah.
Once every 5 episodes, she has to completely defend. I mean, they put Cho in that role with the episode with the witch just to throw the audience, but really that could have been a Van Pelt. But then everyone started thinking she's dumb. It's like, why is she a cop if she's a superstitious Christian? Like, no one's gonna believe that. But then have you met many cops? No.
Then they're back talking to Victor. He's like making a sandwich, and the kid's a wizard now. And I kept like they keep making this. I mean, they make a point for a different reason, but I thought why they keep coming back to this kid in a different costume. It's like, is the kid somehow gonna be like the killer? Is this gonna be extra weird?
Or it's gonna walk through in a Hitler outfit, do something like in that European vacation or whatever. Yeah, there's a funny movie like that. Where they were in Germany and the kids marching around the house goose stepping, and everyone all the Germans pretend to ignore it. No, there's no problem. I forget what even movie that was, but Euro Trip.
Yeah.
But anyway, I kept waiting for that. It's like, when is he going to come through dressed as Hitler goose stepping? And Dad's going to be like, it's great, son. Just keep doing what you're doing. It didn't happen. But.
And then they have something where they figure out Scarlett was going to meet somebody named Digger, and so they go out there, and it's a night dirt bike rally where people are making drug deals. Like, this is and there's there doesn't seem to be spotlights out there. It's like, who is doing this and why?
Just what bikers do. Crazy desert meth bikers show up and start selling each other drugs, whether they need them or not.
Just a night dirt bike race with a dirt bike that doesn't have a light on the front of it.
No, just go for it. Desert rats are crazy.
Anyways, they find the one guy, Digger. I forget his other name, and he is selling drugs, or he's like the distributor for Scarlett, because Scarlett has a jewelry business, but that's not really what makes her money. It's her drug business. Where she's selling pills like oxys and stuff like that, and Adderall and speed and weight loss drugs and stuff like that to all the local people. So that's where her business is really at. Because there's something with Victor and his it's Azura really screwed up the financials, but it was all ended up being propped up by Scarlett's drug trade in the background.
Because her husband says once, she's like, she makes these little tchotchkes or whatever, this tchotchke jewelry, he's really dismissive of it, which is weird. And then it's like, this is why he hates it so much, because it's actually the front for the thing they're laundering money through to keep him afloat.
Well, he apparently doesn't know about the drug thing. He's like, somehow my wife's stupid jewelry is successful. I don't know why. Jane and Rigsby set up somebody to they play dumb. It's like, hey, sign this and you're free to go, and then they pretend they accidentally gave her information something about the safe, like, and then so they're just waiting for somebody to come and rob the safe because they know like the word's gonna get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget, like, I basically just know Scarlet. I didn't catch any of the other women's names. I think one is like Patience or something like that.
Yeah, Patience. There's Asara or Asra, Azra, Mandy, Patience. Who's the other one?
There's the one blonde lady.
Yeah. I remember the ones that come back.
There's the one in the tennis tournament. There's the kind of the older one that's like hitting on Rigsby. There's the one that's having the affair with Azura, and then there's the blonde lady.
Yeah, it's Mandy and Azura that Van Pelt breaks in on.
Okay.
A hotel room. Because remember, you made that reference earlier. Like, Mandy laughed at the idea of her and Asra having an affair with the husband. Because it's like, oh yeah, she's not into that, or at least not officially.
And this is another scene. Now the kid's dressed as a superhero, and I just finally wrote, "Is something wrong with this kid?" But then Jane kind of has an interesting conversation with him. It's like, "You're good at pretend, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I am." It's
because my life sucks. My parents are cold and indifferent. My dad's an asshole. My mom is a drug dealer.
Well, also it's weird because like, well, it's also weird because the kid doesn't appear to have any kind of like mental instability that we know of, and he knows his mom's dead. So this is kind of a scene where like Jane's like, "Hey, you know your mom's dead, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know, but like sometimes I want to pretend it so it feels better." And he's like, "Yeah, I know what that's like."
You can take that self-deception and turn it into money. He doesn't do that.
We have another dead body at the spa, or the lady in the tennis tournament is just sat there with a knife in her chest at the spa.
Yeah.
That's where I immediately pegged at the blonde lady as being the killer, because earlier Jane has a conversation with her and they share like kind of her daughter died last year in a car wreck because somebody was under the influence. And so Jane basically like consoles with her. It's like, yeah, we both have dead daughters, so I'll talk to her. So I was like, okay, that's what it's going to be about, because like the drugs Scarlet sold end up killing her daughter. So it's like, I'm not sure why she killed the other lady. Well, I guess that lady was going to take over the drug trade. So
they were trying to muscle everyone out and just make that a turnkey business for him, which was like stupid, because let's not get caught, because the police are only uncovering this. We can hide this, clear out our bank accounts, and no one will notice.
But yeah, then they stage this thing. This is where the make-believe thing comes in, because they make it look like they're arresting Victor for the crime, and they bring that lady there, and like the kid's like, yeah, I'm like, no, don't take my dad away. And so it's like, but it's all a ruse to get her to confess to it. And then basically they take her back to be interrogated, and that's where Jane basically like is trying to figure out like what her motives were, and like, did it feel better after she killed him? She's like, no. So that's kind of gives Jane some thought as all his planning. Like, once he catches Red John, what's he gonna do, and will it be satisfying? So this is like his glimpse into his own future.
Yeah, is revenge murder satisfying?
And then Rigsby asks the older divorced lady out, so he's going on a date with her. So.
Yeah,
which makes Van Pelt jealous. So.
Which is why he's doing it, I assume, right?
No, I think he's oblivious to that now.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Well, that's what Rigby is. He's an idiot with everything that doesn't have to do with the job.
Yeah, he's just there to punch people.
Yeah.
That's your guy.
He's not bad at his job, but sometimes, it's like social cues and stuff like that. Like, that's not his thing. That's why he lets Jane do it, because Jane's all the genius for social cues and stuff like that. So. Yeah, fine episode.
Yeah, it's kind of, Both the shows tonight so far are kind of like, yeah, this is a very familiar pattern.
Yeah.
I thought the NCIS one was a mess, though. I didn't love that one.
Yeah, but I didn't think it was as bad as the previous one, which sometimes that's helpful. Maybe this show was really bad, but I was like, well, at least it wasn't as bad as the last one. So by comparison, you grade on a curve. Sometimes you get an A when you really deserved a D. It's like, oh, everybody sucked, huh? It's okay. I guess I'm getting the A.
Yeah, again, I talk about the pattern a lot with these two shows. It's like, I'm seeing the pattern. Sometimes it shines. And sometimes it feels, like, oh, they're on a shooting schedule.
And so for our third show, we have season 1, episode 15, in Miami Vice. Season 1, episode 15, Smuggler's Blues. Original air date February 1st, 1985, NBC Friday. Someone in law enforcement is murdering drug dealers and their families in cold blood. To find the culprit, Crockett and Tubbs go undercover and travel to Colombia with a laid-back pilot to pose as dealers. Showrunner Michael Mann, written by Miguel Pinheiro, and directed by Paul Michael Glazer, and I'm pretty sure that's Starsky of Starsky and Hutch fame, okay. Who's directed another episode. He directed Running Man. I guess he got nominated for an Emmy for this episode.
Yeah, this was one of the stronger episodes of season 1 of Miami Vice.
Yeah.
And it's also funny because the guy who writes the song they play almost all the way through it is the pilot. That's Glenn Fry. He's the pilot.
He's from the Eagles, right? That's what I read.
And he is, yes.
He's from the Eagles. He plays the pilot, and Michael Mann told somebody, or I guess here Miguel Pinheiro, to write a song or write an episode based on the song. So the song pre-exists the show. So
yes, oh yeah. Yeah, and it makes sense on the show. They wrote a story around it.
Yeah. It's like all the little details in the song. It just becomes a music video, which is fine for Miami Vice. I can pull that off.
Well, this was a strong music episode. I mean, the Smuggler's Blues, both the regular and acoustical version were featured, and also Lunatic Fringe was the opening, and that was like cool.
Yeah, which it's always I learned about. I mean, I've always heard that song. I didn't know it was called. Until I looked it up, I was like, "What is that song?" Because what I confuse it for is it sounds like later Pink Floyd, but I was pretty sure it wasn't Pink Floyd. And then, but also I was like guessing, like, is that Bad Company? Like, I know Bad Company only had one album. Which it's the band Company, their song Bad Company on the album Bad Company, and they only had one album, but like if you listen to the album, it's like, oh, there's like 4 hits on here, but it's their only album. But it ended up being was it a Red Rider? And the song is Lunatic Fringe. It's like, oh, okay, so now I know what that song is. Did they ever done it? Was that their only hit, or do they have other ones?
That excuse me, that's the one I know of.
Okay.
I don't know if they've had anything, because I know I think he was someone who was part of another band.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like they're from Canada, so. But yeah, that was kind of typical of that rock synth stuff.
Yeah.
It was where you have like actually good guitar solos and guys that can sing, and then you also mix a bunch of synth music in it to make it seem modern for the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's why I could like see it being Pink Floyd-esque, especially the later stuff.
Yeah, it does sort of sound like that. But no, that's I think that's their only hit that I'm seeing.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you personally knew anything about them, because like I said, I finally found out today what the hell that song was. Because you've heard that song.
Yes, that song's everywhere.
But like I didn't even know the lyrics to it. I just like kind of know like the beats to it and like how it sounds. But now I know. Anyways, there's some sort of drug deal going on the bridge where he's talking. This guy holding a fishing rod, and there's people just fishing off of a bridge here. Yeah, which I don't know if that's like. Yeah, and I don't know if that's like some weird Miami thing or not.
It seemed like a very messy choreographed scene. Where they just handed people fishing rods, like, yeah, stand here, look like you're fishing. It didn't seem to be anything natural about it. It's like, it's just a confusing stakeout. with a drug guy that they're staking out, trying to figure out what's going on, and then a power boat shows up.
Yeah, Crockett can pick out what kind of boat it is just audibly. He's like, "That's a cigarette boat." And Scott, and he says some engine.
Yeah.
Which here I believe, like when they're talking about the gas mask in NCIS New Orleans, so like I feel like that's the first time they've ever said those words out loud. Here I can believe Crockett can hear what a boat is from a car.
Yeah, the cigarette boats were a big part of Miami Vice, both the TV series and the movie.
Yeah.
But the ones in the movie were like, those are like multi-million-dollar cigarettes. Those ones are like 4 engines in them that they make 5 of because no one can afford that shit. Except drug dealers and really, really rich guys.
Which I hear that this episode was the basis for the movie.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I don't even remember the plot of the movie, so I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
I just remember that movie had really cool shootouts where people seemed to just stand there and hammer away at each other with guns and not seek cover. Which I thought was weird for a Michael Mann movie because he knows how to do that stuff. But in this movie, these people were such lunatics. It's like, we're just going to stand up and blast at each other and right out in the open. It's like, that's okay. It was a weird shootout, but it was a cool looking movie. But
yeah, and really cool, like long plane shots of just like cool planes like flying through clouds, and the digital photography, while sometimes it kind of hinders it, is like, this doesn't look as good as it would be on film. But like that stuff up in the clouds is like, oh, this is where digital photography shines, because like thing with film cameras, like you have to have an intense amount of light to get the quality of picture. With you don't need that as much light with digital photography, but it just, sometimes it can look grainy because of how the pixels are activated when the image sensor or all that stuff. But now those image sensors have so many image sensors inside of them that they're basically shooting film as digital. But
yeah.
But you ask all the old guy, the older directors, is like, no, it's not possible. No, there's a life to film. It's like, shut up. Film it however you want. I don't care, but don't tell me digital photography doesn't have a place.
Right.
Anyways, but yeah, the guy drops some money to the cigarette boat below, and then he just like runs off into a car, and they kind of like, it's like, well, there should be a handoff here. He just gave the guy something and nothing in return, and so they follow him because they say something like they want to catch the whole crew, or they don't just want to catch this guy, so they're not busting anybody tonight, and they follow him to a boat where you can see through the window like a silhouette of somebody tied up. As he goes in there, he's like, what's going on here? And then the boat just blows up. It's like,
yeah.
Now I'm incredibly confused, but intrigued. What's going on? Yeah, you got the credits, and then Tubbs and Crockett. Pretty cool shot. Like they just Castillo tells them to go somewhere, but it's like a weird secret. And then there's this cool shot where they kind of like walk into darkness, and you just see their silhouettes, like through like this tunnel doorway thing, and it's like a lot of cool cinematography for this episode. And then Tubbs and Crockett's have a secret meeting with the DEA, and it's Richard Jenkins, who I think like the most notable thing lately is he was the dad in Step Brothers.
I think so, yeah.
I
recognized him. He's a character actor from way back.
Yeah. I mean, mostly know him now as being bald. So
yeah, it was weird to see him with hair and a mustache.
But yeah, I mean, you've seen him before. He's been in hundreds of things, but yeah. But did we find out it's a cop at the end, or is it here? Because I've written down like it's a smuggler war where they're killing each other's families. That's what they're really worried about. It's like,
well, with the DED agent, because remember the homicide lieutenant, when they first meet at the station after the boat explodes, everyone's there, and he actually draws a line from the Smuggler's Blues song. The local homicide agent is like, yeah, it's just what they call the politics of contraband. and Crockett is like, hey, somebody's family got murdered.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, these people are always killing each other. Yeah, whatever. And he just walks out.
Yeah.
And then
He's like, yeah, Crockett says something like, "What are you, a fascist or something like that?"
Yeah.
So Crockett is Antifa.
Yes. He is. He's early 80s, mid 80s. Driving around a Ferrari, but he's fighting for the good people. Fascist police.
Anyways.
So yeah, that's when Castillo gets a phone call and it's like meet this guy in like 45 minutes, and that's when they meet the DEA agent Ed Waters, which is kind of a weird name. And I thought they said John Waters at first. I was like, what? But then they get an undercover off the books mission from the DEA and $1 million to fly down to Colombia and figure out who's killing all the smugglers and the people bringing drugs back to America, because they know it's someone involved with the Miami Police Department.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why they have to go down to Colombia with no cover, just $1
Yeah,
million.
no backup. Yeah, I mean, their cover is like their identities they created fake identities so that when people look it up, it'll exist. But other than that, they have no backup to them, and and they turn it and they hand their badges over to Castillo. It's like, well, I guess we don't need these anymore.
But they keep their guns, which have serial numbers on them.
That's true.
And also we find another part of their cover is the guy who went into the houseboat where it looked like some S&M stuff was going on before it exploded. He's still alive.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, screw these guys. Tubbs can say he's my cousin or something. Like, I'll vouch for him, and so that's how they're able to go down to Colombia with $1 million in cash and walk through airports and stuff with handguns and it's just go.
Well, that's like they go to pick up a pilot and they find some dude who's high as hell, and then it's like, we the pilot, and then Zito and Switek like give a bus and they like to drag the guy away. It's like, yeah, we just saved you from a bus, and they just dragged him like 5 feet out of the door.
Yeah.
But the guy's high as hell, so he doesn't know, and so he gives up the name of a smuggler pilot, which you just say Jimmy or something.
Yeah.
And so that's the guy they get to smuggle them into Colombia or Cartagena or Cartagena.
Yeah, something like that. That's where they meet. That's where they meet Glenn Fry, the pilot.
Yeah. And also you see his mechanic, who I always remember as the chauffeur from Ferris Bueller Days Off, who takes the Ferrari and drives it like crazy.
Yep, where they play like the Star Wars theme as the Ferrari's flying through the air.
Yeah.
His name's Wavy Davy. He's the pilot's mechanic. As they're getting on board the plane, they tell Jimmy, it's like, yeah, you think he needs to go see a therapist or something? He's like, he's great with the engines, So because Wavy Davy seems like a guy who's a little off. So then they fly down to Cartagena on this plane.
Which I had to look it up. Is like, is that a country? And then it's like, oh, it's in Colombia.
Yeah, so they fly this plane from the tip of Miami to Colombia, but it's registered as flying to Puerto Rico, which I didn't know planes like that had that kind of range, but I guess they do.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just flying straight there, the range is.
Man, I bet a plane like that could fly cross country. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I always assume those because it's like an old plane from the. 50s.
I guess they'd eat fuel. Maybe, I'm not sure. I don't know.
It's not important. It's just it kind of struck me as like, that plane's must be doing airborne refueling. So then they go they go to Cartagena, and they rent a room in some slum part of town, and they go to meet a guy named I always called him Groceries. Grosserio is his name.
I wrote it down Grosero.
Yeah, they always say it that way, but I always think it's like groceries because I just wrote it down Groceries because I can remember it.
Also, they hand Jimmy like a what is that, like a Spectre submachine gun or what kind of machine?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's one of those more future-looking submachine guns with like a foregrip, but it's like not an Uzi, or a Tech 9. It's one of those.
Just hand it to him. It's like, yeah, if you see anything you don't like, use this. Like, wow, he's gonna kill everyone in the building? Okay. And they barely know this guy, but they're handing him a machine gun.
Yeah.
He's assumed to be one of the good guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I had to download Google Meet again. I don't know why, but oh well. I was like, why can't I just open? It made me download it. So.
Huh.
How's it going?
Good. We're towards the end of Verhoeven Effect, so.
I'm sorry. I thought 8 o'clock. So never mind. I was like,
No, yeah, we don't have like an hour time limit on this show when we stop, so but we're near the end. But well, I guess we're in the middle of Miami Vice right now. Crockett and Tubbs are doing a drug deal with Grosero, or as Nathan's calling them, groceries.
Yeah,
and everything goes perfectly. Nothing goes wrong.
Well, like I said, they're in Colombia, and they try to do a deal with this guy, and they can't agree on a price. So then they walk away, like maybe we'll meet again, and then they kind of go away.
Oh yeah.
And then these local banditos show up and pull guns on them, and Crockett and Tubbs fight back. Then the policia show up, and Tubbs gets arrested, but Crockett and Jimmy get away.
Nice.
And then Crockett and Jimmy spend a couple hours reminiscing in a hotel room about Vietnam and losing friends and losing guys. And Crockett's like, yeah, I'm not losing this one. And then he just walks into the hotel room because they cut to another scene at the police station where the local police are like, oh yeah, we got your fake background, or they don't know it's a fake background, but they get Tubbs' fake background about his criminal who's like stabbed a bunch of people and wanted for assault and all this. He's like, you're a bad man, but I'm gonna let you go because the local police are in with the Grosario.
Yeah.
So it turns out to be like, oh, this is going to be weird. Like he's going to be in a prison in South America. It's like, oh no, we're just going to let him go because this guy has us on the payroll. So then they agree to a price because I remember they have this $1 million the DEA gave them, and they agree to this price to meet the guy and whatever. And so they buy the drugs and they're putting it on the plane. And then the same group of people show up. I guess it's the same group of people, and try to ambush them in Colombia and steal the drugs back.
Yeah.
So we have a silly shootout where like Crockett uses a Mustang as a battering ram and bashes the guys off the runway, and then he gets out shooting. Everyone's shooting, and Tubbs pulls them into the plane, and they fly away. And then we go into the Smuggler's Blues, song.
They drop off. Was it heroin?
Jimmy's flying back into America. Yeah, I think
or is it cocaine?
Well, it says keys. They're always saying how much a key. So I'm assuming kilos are cocaine. That's in 1980s parlance. I don't know. But then they're flying back into America, and Jimmy like talks to the tower. He's like, "Yeah, one of my engines is running a little low. I might be below radar for a while." And they're like, "Okay, just come on in," And so then they drop the drugs in the swamp area in Florida. And then he lands the plane at the airport, and then Crockett and Tubbs are going back to pick up the drugs that they dropped in the pond somewhere. And Jimmy's mechanic and somebody else shows up, saying, "Oh yeah, we got your," because one of the ladies was set up as Crockett.
Oh yeah, Trudy was there to ask, because like these guys go after people's families, and so Trudy is like listed basically as Tubbs covers like cousin or girlfriend or something.
I thought it was wife or girlfriend or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so Trudy in the background is kidnapped.
Yeah.
But here, like, they're getting ripped off by the mechanic guys, but then they end up fighting back because Jimmy pulls up with a shotgun in his Jeep, so he fights them.
For some reason, doesn't shoot the guys and gets shot himself. Crockett has to beat him up, So, but I guess that establishes that Jimmy's actually one of the good guys. So.
Yeah.
Even though he's a drug smuggler, and he's like Han Solo. He's a drug smuggler, but he would never rip people off and hold their family hostage. That's what his mechanic and his weird friend would do. So then they take Davy Wavy, and because he's supposed to call the guy, it's like, yeah, they're raising the money or whatever, and they're going to be here at this time, and he, they find out what trailer Trudy's locked up in, and she's hooked up to a bomb where if she moves her arms and legs too much, this little socket will go down into something and complete the connection and blow up the bomb, or the guy can press a button and blow it up.
Yeah, it's radio controlled, and it's a bit
it's got a trembler on it.
Yeah. Well, no, what's the game with you pull the operation?
Yeah. It's like an operation.
Yeah, like an operation trap.
Yeah. So
if you touch the sides, then the thing blows up.
That's normal.
So then he's supposed to drop off $500,000 in a bag off the bridge, just like the guy in the beginning did.
Yeah.
Onto a cigarette boat, but this is during the daytime. Dumb, but the
well, now the fishing makes sense, I guess. All right.
Yeah, now the fishing makes sense. But they're trying. So Crockett and some EO or explosives guy are trying to disarm the bomb that Trudy's hooked up to in the trailer, and so Tubbs has to go down and drop the money off the bridge, and because this guy, whoever they're talking to on the phone, will not take any bullshit. He's like, yeah, don't even try to delay me. This is the time. If it's not done, she's dead. And so he's down on the bridge with the money, and he sees the boat, and he calls Castillo. He's like, what do you do? What do I do? And he's like, Castillo's like, I'm not there. It's your call. But they're not out yet. They haven't finished disarming the bomb. So he throws the money like into the boat, and then he jumps on the boat because there's one guy in the boat, and he's got like a diving suit thing on, so you can't see his face. And they start fighting.
Yeah, because if he doesn't get paid, he'll blow it up, and when he gets paid, he's like, "Well, I'm just going to blow it up anyway." So either way,
leave a big trail of people here.
So this is his stall tactic: is hopefully confront the guy that has the radio switch, and he does. So.
And so they fight, and then the entire Miami police force shows up of about 5 people. At least 2 of them have high-powered rifles, but everyone else has handguns pointing off the bridge onto this guy. It's like 300 feet away. That's not going to do a lot of good, but at least a couple of guys did.
Yeah, Zito and Switek both have scoped rifles, so they were prepared.
But, so then Tubbs and this guy are fighting, and he's like, look, it's over. Look, you're surrounded. Just give it up. And the guy's like, screw this. And he presses the detonator, and you just see the trailer explode. Like, you don't know what's going on, and he sees smoke coming up. And then the guy, I think, Tubbs shoots him, right?
Yeah, Tubbs shoots him, yeah.
Yeah, and then they find out it's that detective from the beginning. That's the guy in the wetsuit. Because they like pull the mask off like at the end of Scooby-Doo. Let's see who the mastermind was.
Old Man Jenkins.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, that totally. I mean, this was a one and done episode. There's no overarching thing. Because of course Crockett and Trudy and the bomb squad guy were out of there before no one died.
Yeah, I do like some of the details of the bomb squad thing. It's like he's basically like he's rolling out a trash bag, but he says it's anti-static plastic and all this stuff, and it's like that's a lot of cool detail.
They had the power supply that they plugged in. Because it matched the power supply to the bomb, so he could override the trembler.
Yeah.
Because they cut the trembler off, and he hooks a live wire to it, so it's still sending a signal because he knows it has to complete a circuit. And
or they even run a wire in case radio signals are a problem. They run a wire into the trailer so they can talk to the Castillo.
Yeah. Because they don't want to like click on the same frequency. It's like they do some cool things on this show.
Because like you don't have to put those details in, but when you do, it makes it seem more like, oh, this is legit. This is what actually happens in a bomb scenario.
Yeah, you could just have Trudy and Crockett talking because he's trying to calm her down. Because if she moves her arms and legs too much, that bomb goes off.
Yeah.
So she's in some kind of stress position, and you could just have, okay, you do bomb squad stuff, guy, and I'll do this. It's like, no, they explain every step of the way what they're doing and why, which was kind of cool.
So obviously this week, Miami Vice was the best show.
Yeah, it's almost always the best show unless they're trying to be funny. I mean, I think this was probably the highest quality one and done episode they had, where it had a bunch of cool stuff going on.
I don't know. Where would you? You know the rest of them, but is this like one of the best episodes of the season?
This
Like,
is one of the best episodes of the season. Yeah.
Okay, or I don't know. Would you say like the premiere or the first episode is the best, and this is like number 2 or something?
Well, the premiere is good in its own. You mean the pilot?
Yeah.
Actual first step. The pilot's good as like selling this as like this is what we're gonna do. But as far as what the story or what the show develops into, this is kind of a high point in the first season.
Okay.
And because it's like it's not too heavy on the bad guys are almost cartoonish, but the good guys in this and how they all work together and how all this ties together, it's like, oh yeah, it sort of makes sense because we're trying to solve a local problem. Someone obviously killing drug dealers, and we don't want that to blow up into something bigger, so everything seemed to kind of make sense. As far as a lot of their 2-parter episodes are pretty good. The last one sort of good, but yeah, this was a good one and done fun Miami Vice episode where it wasn't too goofy, it wasn't too serious, it was just
Yeah.
right.
Well, I feel like I like the Smuggler's Run or Smuggler's Blues. Like I feel like that comes up a lot as like one of their better episodes. So I was kind of expecting it. Yeah, and you have Starsky direct it, so it's got to be good.
It's got good camera work in it. It's got it recalls characters from before. It's sort of it's like it sits in the Miami Vice universe well. This isn't like, oh, this is way outside of, even though they're going to another country.
Yeah, they're really undercover.
Yeah, they're deeply, like if you get caught, you're just dead. It's like okay, we're in, immediately.
So if you like what you've heard, and how couldn't you? You can find this podcast at anchor.fn/Verhoeven Effect. You can also use verhoeveneffect.com, but I have a weird thing where Google is not letting you go use through it, but explore all the, anyways, you just use anchor.fm/Verhoeven Effect or search Verhoeven Effect on Google and it'll bring you to this. We're number 1, I believe. So, you can rate our podcast on your podcast listening thing of choice. You don't have to say anything, but just write, this podcast gets me through my workday. Cause that's usually what every podcast gets when they gets a 5-star review. I mean, you can rate us what you want, but like if you really want to support us, you just lie and say we're a 5-star podcast.
Yeah, we'll take anything helps. It doesn't have to come from the heart.
Yeah, you control the algorithm. Don't let the algorithm control you.
Yeah.
We also have we have listener support where you can support us at 3 different tiers of a monthly stipend of 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99. We're at Twitter at Verhoeven Effect, Facebook at Verhoeven Effect. Which I had an interesting thing there where I joined like fan communities for all 3 shows.
Yeah.
And then when I tried to, and there was like stuff on them where it's like, no self-promotion. I'm like, okay, if I post a podcast, will that be self-promotion, or is it like, but it's germane because we're covering these shows. And of course the NCIS one and the Mentalist one like denied my posts.
Oh.
But like the crap they allow on there it's such garbage, because all it is people like posting pictures from episodes with just captions underneath, and then people like put like hearts emojis underneath, and it's like, what is this? How is
Like
this a fan club?
Dracula fan fiction? Is that
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. It's stupid. But luckily the Miami Vice fan club, they let me put that on there, and people gave it a thumbs up. Nobody listened to it, but at least they gave the post a thumbs up. So,
And they're like, perfect.
Good for you. I'm glad you're talking about this.
But also like, that I imagine that that fan club is just full of boomers and stuff. So
Yeah, it's just nostalgic people. I mean, I was 10 when this was on TV. And I was trying to dress like these guys and stuff. Back this fat little kid in like a bunch of pastel, going to church on Sunday. The Miami Vice guys.
We also have another podcast, or the American Greed Factory podcast, which we're wearing right now. You can find us on YouTube. On that American Greed Factory YouTube page, you can also find this very episode and show unedited and aired live. So if you're looking for that, we have that too. You can get t-shirts at below the collar /Greed Factory. And yeah, we are wearing the said shirts. Because I bought my own shirt because I had to see if it's okay, and I believe it's okay. Because I was worried about the only thing I'm worried about is these stems here being too thin, and after a couple washes, if these break away, or I don't know if that'll happen or not. But that's the only thing I'm worried about. But
well, you could go with my plan is like I'm not going to wash this shirt, and I'm only going to wear it when I do the podcast. You can only wear it when you're listening to the podcast, and then not have to wash it.
Also, yeah, or
you
wash
can wash it a bunch and just buy 10.
Yeah. And you can also find I do stuff on Twitch on twitch.tv/Greed Factory. Every morning I have a show called Puzzles and Podcasts. It's the kind of low effort content that everybody can get behind, where I play puzzle games and listen to other people's podcasts.
And I don't even know what Twitch is because I'm the old guy here.
It's sort of like live pornography, but with video games.
Perfect.
That's not the way to explain it, but anyways, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah,
so
there's bluffer and there's a gasser and there's a lot of. I get it.
well, it's like you get all the like the stuff that you can tip the ladies or however it works. You can do that on Twitch, where you can tip people for putting on shows. It's like people put on podcasts there. They do video game shows. Like, do you know who PewDiePie is?
Yeah, it's a guy from Sweden that plays video games.
Yeah, so it's essentially that. But like, when people do shows where they play video games, like people can people can tip you in what they call bits, which just ends up being like a monetary money, and that give that. I can't even do this stuff right now because I'm not an associate, and I'm not a partner, which that's where you can do all that stuff, where you have to meet certain qualifications to do that. And you can also, the thing is like, you can get subscriptions to people's Twitch channel, so that when they come into the channel, they don't have to see ads. Which people, if they're partner or affiliates or whatever, that when you open up their channel, you'll get an ad, which I think will give ad revenue to that specific person. But if you're subscribed to the channel, you don't get that, and you'll get like special emotes or whatever. The fun thing there is what they have there is that you can gift subs to other people. And so like, you put a thing like gift 5 subs, and then 5 random people in the chat at the moment will get a subscription. And it's just kind of a fun thing to like celebrate moments that happen during a stream. The other fun thing they have is it's called raids. So like, say somebody is a big streamer and they have like 10,000 people. They can take their audience and they can like shove it on top of somebody else's channel.
Huh.
So it's like, so if they find somebody who's like, oh, here's a small streamer, let's send in my audience. And sometimes wonderful things happen, and sometimes terrible things happen. So.
You never know what happens when you unleash the mob.
So that's the interesting thing about Twitch. But anyways, for Verhoeven Effect, this is Colin.
This is Nathan.
And Matt.
Goodbye, America.